Hey, this is Brandon McManus, Denver Broncos Super Bowl champion, and you listen to The Scoop on OwlScoop.com.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to The Scoop. This is Season 5, Episode 33 of OwlScoop.com's podcast. I'm John DiCarlo. We're doing this via Zoom again. Everybody's doing things remotely now due to the coronavirus outbreak. So I'm looking at our Zoom screen here, and I see Colin Thompson with us again, gracious enough to join us until he gets sick of us at some point. I'm looking at Sam Neumann and Sam Cohn. How you guys doing?
Hanging in there. How about you, John?
Good. And now I'm gonna tell you that we're also being joined via iPhone. We can't see him. He's being secretive, but you guys know him as the Temple quarterback who passed for 10,668 yards, 74 touchdowns, a record breaker. He brought you a win over Penn State. He brought you a conference championship, and now he is back, reunited with Matt Rhule, with the Carolina Panthers in the NFL. PJ Walker is joining us. PJ, really appreciate this, buddy. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you guys for having me on.
Oh, no problem. Really appreciate it. First of all, just the most basic question to ask you. I mean, could this be a better situation for you to get back into the NFL and just to be reunited with a guy who knows you, a guy who knows your game, after just being the face of the XFL? I mean, could this have come together any better for you?
No, I couldn't have. And, I'm just thankful for the opportunity that he's actually given me. Life comes around in full circle. And, me and him got another opportunity now to, link back up as player and coach. And I'm looking forward to it.
I want to chime in.
Yeah, go ahead, Carl.
And just state the fact that all of those passing yards, I think I had about 10 of those.
You definitely had only 10 yards.
Like, 2014 was the best year. We were still in Satterfield's spread. And I, caught a bunch of leaks. I caught a bunch of wide delays. I got hawked down against Cincinnati. I fell pretty much on my face. First time I caught a ball and ran in the open field.
That was bad.
Extremely nervous. I'll take the 50-yard catch, though. I mean, that's not normal. That's how I justified it in my head, so I didn't have an anxiety attack.
Yeah.
And then that was my best year. I think I had like 13 for 134. My senior year, I had 3 catches, and I had a 2-point conversion, which I come to find out did not happen. Did not count. It did not count, which I think is a travesty. That was against UCF.
How does this work in the huddle, guys? PJ, does Colin come to you and say, "Hey, man, like I'm not getting the ball enough, or I'm seeing something here that you're not seeing"? Does he, or were there just too many weapons on that offense?
So we all knew our role. So I'll put it that way. We all knew our role. We all knew what we brought to the table, and we all knew what we had to do.
Yeah, it's well said.
We all knew. I knew I was only going to throw the ball a certain amount of times a game. I knew somebody was going to get a certain amount of targets, and we knew we was going to run the ball probably 45 to 50 times. So
yeah.
We knew the game plan. We knew the mindset. We knew what going into the week. We knew what was going on. So Colin actually never. He's the most unselfish player I play with. So.
Aww.
So it's more so he don't really care. He want to build and he want to win.
Yeah, I think that was a great point. We all had our roles, and I think we all embraced it. Whether you were, the Cole Boozers, who was pre-tackle Cole Boozer, and he was just like come in with Sharga and me, and we just beat people up, and then run some play action trick play like once a game to me, or once every 2 or 3 games, and that was like kind of what my role was in the passing game. And that's kind of how it was. I didn't mind it, and it worked out great. And we had ridiculous roster of, now you see the defense, but the offense with all the backs, and obviously PJ and Christ, all the receivers, and Bentel and Kirkwood and JC. I forgot name that I saw when we watched
John Christopher.
Yeah. I rewatched the Temple Penn State game just like kind of everybody else did in the Temple World the other night. And JC's out there blocking people. So yeah, it was everyone their own role. He's a baller.
He's a baller. He didn't even have to practice. He just straight ball.
His body was so beat up, guys. Like, he couldn't even walk. Like, he just. Yeah. I think that's why he's a chiropractor now in Florida. He's just like, I need to learn how to.
Is that what he's doing now?
Yeah, JC. And John said it. Like, we should do a segment. Like, where are the Owls now? And like, because there's a lot of guys from that team that have done some pretty cool things. Whether they're playing, obviously what PJ's done on the field, but just off the field, there's some goofballs that have done some pretty good stuff. So.
Yeah, I agree.
Switching gears here, PJ. So the Panthers obviously made a commitment to Teddy Bridgewater with a 3-year deal, but they signed you to a 2-year deal. Then they traded Kyle Allen to Washington, and you're at least going to be able to come in and compete with Will Grier for the backup spot and try to push Teddy too. What has Matt told you about what he expects from you and what's possible for you?
Me and Matt haven't really talked about what's expected, but me knowing what's just knowing him, I know I just need to come in there. I know I need to work. I know I need to go in there and compete. I just know I need to go in there and bring my A game every day. Just show him what I'm capable of, which he knows most of it. But I just gotta show him how much I've improved as a player, and how I can continue to grow.
And to chime in on that for PJ, and this is the stuff that I think Matt instilled in all of us at Temple that we take throughout our careers, and that's just being a pro. I think Rhule really taught players how to be pros, how to take care of your own business, and PJ answered that question in the most truthful way. Is I know what Matt expects. We'll expect you to come in and be a pro and be the best version of you, and then the chips fall where they fall. So just add him for P. I don't want to steal your light, but that's where it comes from. Believe me, and it's a Temple podcast. I wanted to draw it back so that the fans know this is the type of stuff that Rhule just implement on the X's and O's. I think Rhule was just great off the field with guys, and that's why we were successful, and that's why there's a bunch of guys playing for him now in the league.
Yeah, going off that Temple point, PJ, it's kind of ironic. Really, your second appearance, the college quarterback, came against Louisville when they had Teddy Bridgewater. You went 10 for 19, 182 yards, threw a touchdown pass to Jalen Fitzpatrick. What do you remember that game? What do you remember?
Another good player.
Yeah, I just remember. So going into the week, I knew I was gonna play eventually. Coach Rhule came and told me I was gonna play in the second quarter, and he just was like, "Just be ready." And once I got the opportunity to go in there and play, I just couldn't look back. I played 2 weeks prior to that against Fordham. Before that, against Fordham, and I didn't do too well. So once I got in the Louisville game, I just said, let me just go out there and be myself, play my game, not really to think about too much, and just run around, make some plays, and that's what happened. And after now, I look back and after I watch it now, it's like, man, I really was just young and really just trying to create a whole bunch of plays instead of read and stuff. I was just going out there playing.
Talk about running around and playing.
Yeah.
Is there something that helps you settle into a game? Maybe a scramble, maybe a quick completion, or are you in the huddle? You have a mannerism or something that, okay, I'm here, I'm in the game, I'm already in game mode. Is there something that allows you to play better off the jump, or you got to work yourself in? I think every player is a little different. How do you get yourself ready to go in that moment?
So with me, it was always I needed to get hit first to get settled in. I needed to get hit first, bro. I don't know why I was like that. I think Rhule knew that too, and I just so it was. If you remember, some games we started off with like a quarterback draw, especially it was just to get me settled in. And if Rhule knew he was gonna be throwing the ball and things like that, he really wanted to get me settled in. They just run a quarterback draw. And it's like I think he'll do that like a Penn State game, you know what I'm saying, or something like that. Like Notre Dame, we did like the quick throw, getting it out early. I got hit quick, but that settled me down for the game.
PJ, I remember you telling me that about the Penn State game because you took a tough hit, and I remember you kind of saying, we were talking about the Penn State game, that kind of, you said that you needed that. Is every quarterback like that, or do some guys get hit and they kind of go the other way with it?
I feel like every quarterback should be that way, and I think every quarterback might be that way just because once you get hit in that pocket, you stop really looking for pressure. You start really looking for pressure. You just start to feel a little more, you start to get a little more comfortable in the pocket, and that's the main thing. Once you get hit that one time, your awareness starts to pick up as the game goes on.
That hit you took at Penn State, that was off my guy. On that keeper, on that book, on that read we ran, PJ.
But you couldn't block him no longer though. That was the worst part.
I mean, I drove him like 5 yards in the end zone.
So you always tell me like, bro, that was my guy. I'm sorry. But I was like, bro, I was in the end zone. I was like a whole 2 yards in the end zone. There's nothing you can do about it.
It was a late hit. Typical Penn State linebacker play.
It was a Jason Cabinda. Was that him? Is that who it was?
Yeah. I played against him in high school as well.
Yep.
They had a lot of good players. I remember him, Mike Hall, everybody. They were loaded every year at linebacker. I felt it every year until I got laid out a couple of times.
Every year. It was like, and they were huge. So it was like, compared to us, they were huge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They're big.
Hey, PJ, in the midst of all the XFL success that you had, I mean, you were the face of the league. I think some fans kind of forget. It wasn't that long ago that June Jones didn't just hand you the job. You had to come in and beat out Connor Cook, and you weren't named the starter until 3 days before the season. Now, I know June Jones saw you up close when you were at Temple and he was at SMU. How much of a difference do you think that made, and what was that competition like in camp before you really took over there and became the face of the league there in Houston?
So going into it, I just knew I just had to go in there. I had to battle, you know. I just knew it was going to be a whole process of me just going in there and being consistent every day, you know, because I knew Connor was capable of doing great things, and so I just knew I had to be on my A game every day. And so what I did was I just approached the game at the start of every day, and I just didn't look back. Every rep I got, I took advantage of it.
I saw it live in our joint practice where because everyone sees Temple, right? And here's Temple, and people come up to me and say, you know, who PJ, or, you know, a lot of guys play with P on the practice squad that even spent a week with the Colts. He was there for so long. Or, you know, I play with PJ in this or that, or I know of them, my buddies play with them. So people ask me questions. And I saw, you know, every play of the 7-on-7, they threw it deep. And Connor Cook was in there, and he hit some too. You guys both threw well that day. And I'm like, I think PJ's their guy. I mean, I'm assuming they picked him in, you know, before the draft, and they had to draft Connor Cook because there was a couple stages. So, yeah, to chime in a little bit, I saw my own two eyes. They both look great on our 7-on-7. Obviously, we saw what PJ did. Hey, P, kind of a question on that. You think Cook could have came in, and I'm not saying he would have been better than you, and I don't really – it's kind of a tough question, but, like, you think you would have had success in that offense too?
I believe so. I believe so because it was a lot of – if the Reeds was there and he could have, you know, I made some good plays, you know, with my feet and everything like that. But the Reeds were there a lot, you know. A lot of the times you have to make the throw. You know, whether there was gonna be somebody in his face tonight, you have to make the tough throw.
PJ, you've talked about how much you learned from Andrew Luck and Jacoby Brissett when you were with the Colts. Then Luck puts in a good word for you with his father, Oliver. What did that mean to you?
It meant a lot, you know, just to know that Andrew is watching. You know, he's here. He see what I'm capable of, and he likes my game. You know, that just made me gravitate to him more, and I just learned as much as I could from him throughout my process there. You know, me and him had a relationship while I was there.
PJ, 5 XFL games, you completed almost 65% of your passes, 1,300 yards, 15 touchdowns, just 4 interceptions. You had that sidearm touchdown pass against St. Louis. It was as good as any throw you've made in your career. It might sound like a simple question. What allowed you to be so focused and so good when the opportunity came up? Because I suppose some guys could have taken a so-so attitude in the league and had their doubts, but, I mean, you really kind of nailed it.
Yeah, I knew what I wanted. That was the mindset. I knew what I wanted. And I knew what I wanted to get out of it. I knew I wanted to go out there, play my butt off every week. And but it started with me in practice. Every day I brought, like, mindset, you know, not just to me, but for my teammates, you know. They gravitated to it, and they believed in me, and that's all I really wanted in the first place. And but, you know, just me I felt like the league was going just – it was there to take. It was there to take. And it was up for any game. It was up fair game.
PJ, kind of ironically enough, you play in front of some fans down there in a stadium where that was one of I've heard you say before, you know, the conference championship loss to Houston was tough, but you're now going into that stadium, and it looked like, just from what I could see on TV, that the fans were really into it down there. What was that fan base like, and how much did they embrace you and the team?
I was happy the first game we won because I was happy to finally win a game with Houston. That was the biggest excitement of the whole day for me. I felt like I was 0-2 there. You know, I lost there my sophomore year, and then I lost my junior year. But then we won that. We go and win the first XFL game. So I'm like, all right, I can actually win here. So now let's go and play. You know, but it was fun. It was definitely fun. The atmosphere was crazy. The atmosphere was crazy each week.
It's a great stadium. It's really cool for that level. For, you know, I always say it, if you take a little bit of every American Athletic Conference stadium, when Temple builds their stadium, whatever that is,
Houston and East Carolina. Best two stadiums in our conference.
Yeah, they're great. I mean, I got to see Houston from playing it and then calling it, like, in the booth. So I get to hear, like, Harry Donahue or Paul or Troy or, like, technician, say, or our producers say, like, these are great booths or these booths suck. Or, like, I wouldn't have done it this way. So I get to see it both. And Houston's great. ECU is so cool. They got a brand new press box. So if Temple ever builds their stadium, hopefully they do it here sooner than later. The American Conference got a great stadium. So, yeah, we never won in Houston. Houston 2010, we actually threw in a screen at EP. I don't know if you remember that. Caught that for a yard.
Yes.
And, I mean, they snuck it out, to my defense. I wasn't – they snuck that. And then that's the Avery Williams game where he hit that kid so hard his helmet popped like 20 yards up in the air.
Yeah, that was the championship game.
No.
No, that was 2015. No, 13.
14, we went to Houston. Thursday night
white
football.
Jerseys, black pants, yes. White jerseys, black pants.
White jerseys, black pants, yep. Thursday night football at Houston. Avery Williams hit a kid so hard on the goal line, his helmet popped straight up. He looked like that old boxing game.
Yeah, it was definitely fake. It looked so not real.
What else happened in that game? A bunch of penalties. It was a mess. And then 15.
Jahar had 2 long runs. We couldn't score freaking on the inside the 5. It was just a lot of.
Did you fumble on the goal line?
Yes, bro. Twice, I think.
Now, how did that change Temple football forever? And what did Matt Rhule say? Mandated team rule after you did that. I always tell my kids that when I coach.
Never reach the ball over the end zone ever again unless it's fourth down. Or we need the touchdown.
That was Rhule. That was Coach Rhule's mandated rule.
Don't reach
ever do it again
over the goal line with the ball.
What's you guys obviously have like just a ton of great memories of playing with each other. I want to ask you guys, Colin, what's your favorite memory of PJ? And it could be something on the field, off the field. And then PJ, same question for you with Colin, like on the field, off the field. PJ, you start first.
So mine with Colin would be when he first got to Temple. To see the process that he went through, just to get back on the field. And I knew we had like a good room of tight ends. But I knew bringing Colin in was gonna really change our whole room. And it helped. It was amazing. And he brought a whole bunch of, I would say, wisdom to the team, just because we didn't have guys as mature as Colin at times. And it was just great. It was great having him there.
Yeah, a lot of fun. I mean, I made it pretty clear that PJ Walker's, one of my favorite, if not my favorite team I ever played with. And we've had a lot of great memories. I'll say I have a couple just to kind of random things. I was talking to a Denver Broncos scout. And they were a team interested in me, undrafted, coming out. And they're interested in PJ too. I think everybody was. When you have that ability, and I think it's intriguing to nail that undrafted guy or try to get a guy late rounds, and PJ has all that ability. So I remember him like asking me these questions, blah, blah, blah. And then he's like, if you had to pick one player to play with in the NFL, who would it be? I said, PJ Walker. I didn't even hesitate. And the guy like snapped his head around him. He's like, I love his game. I was like, I do too. I said, I would that'd be the one guy I want to play with in the NFL. So that's the one story. This is how it happened in one day, actually. 3 things. And they weren't even had to do with playing. They were all at the pro day. The one football story is in the huddle at Houston, 2015 championship game. Couldn't hear anything. And him and I are in the bottom of the huddle, both on a knee. And Peter's just such a warrior, like screaming out the call. And like, that's just the one, like Peter said, the wisdom, like you played enough a little bit at that time to know like these moments don't happen a lot. So like focus on the play, but also like look around a bit when the play's over and be like, holy crap, like this is really freaking cool. Like it's not normal. This is not normal. I think that brought us together, brought us closer. That loss in Houston, I think that's why we won it in 16, even though we lost a ton of great players. Kyle, Fred, Medikevich, Ionitis, Tavon, a lot of guys. But my second story from that pro day, that was my favorite football story by far. I mean, there's been a couple over the years. I think the first touchdown was a big one at USF because it was my only touchdown, and we went nuts, and that's a great highlight. There's a bunch on the field that I was going through and looking today. Charlotte P, the corner route. I got called back for me pushing off the kid.
Yes. Oh my goodness, that was a freaking Wait, that was a tug, bro. I'm sorry. That was a touchdown. They robbed you.
I looked like a first-round pick on the play, you know. You would have thought the kid's got foot problems. No way. I went up and snagged it. Looked beautiful. I turn around and look. There's a flag on the ground. Pouring rain in Charlotte. I'm like, oh, my God. I just mossed the kid in the back of the end zone. I have I have a 4-inch vertical. How did that just happen? So.
You ever see those videos of LeBron like recalling a play, like exact moments of every play, like play by play? Colin, that's what I'm getting from you from every ball you've ever caught, every play you've ever been involved.
Well, there's not that many balls, so. But no, I mean, they come flooding back. I was just going through the 16 schedule. I'll finish the 2 pro day stories. Okay, so one was the Bronco scout asking the player I'd play with in the league, and I said, PJ, absolutely. Secondly, we are running routes, and I knew how important they were to me. I knew I wasn't going to run a great 40. I'm going to be – this isn't my cup of tea. There's no bag out there on the pro day. I'm not blocking anybody. Here we go. So I run routes. I'm moving, grooving, feeling good. I run stick nod, which is like a 5-yard out. You sell out, and then you put your foot in the ground and kind of break to the post. And I turn to look to the ball, and I can't find it. Boom, the ball hits me right in the eye, right in a bullet shot from PJ. And I was just started like, do I laugh or like go just start running down Broad Street and just my career's over? So in the corner panels of the indoor there, the old indoor, there's just like glossy windows, and the sun was coming in the morning, and I just literally couldn't see the ball. Just drove me right in the face. So that was the one PJ story that hurt. My eye was like swollen. That was good. Then I'm not going to name the NFL scout, who's a really big NFL scout. PJ goes through the whole kit and caboodle, goes to Colorado, trains in Colorado. His guy from Colorado flies out for the pro day to put us through the entire pro day. We meet the day before to walk through the routes we're going to run at the pro day. Like, guys, I want this to be a well-oiled machine. Well, the big scout, who you never say no to, comes in, puts us through a footwork drill. Okay, what's this? This is not the plan. Then he gets up and he says, I'm running the entire pro day. PJ's guy jumps in and says, no, you're not. Told the guy to F off. And then he was like kind of ego checked a little bit. And then PJ's boy Jenkins hopped in and run it. So they're just little stories along the way. But there's some popped in my head today when I was talking about. Had a fun pro day, had a good pro day individually. And it was great to be out there with P and them guys again.
PJ, you have time for a couple more, like couple like mailbag questions or reader questions? How are you doing on time? Actually, like one of the things I wanted to ask you about. So a lot of these mailbag questions come from readers on our message board here. So they have screen names like Green Street Owl, Park Owl, Moose Jake, all these like screen names, and a lot of the stuff that came flooding in was about the Penn State game, and you guys, your memories of that. Now I'm going to combine a lot of these together. What are your memories of it? And then the follow-up would be, how much did it mean to you to just kind of slay that dragon? And then when you guys kind of went out into the parking lot, did you guys get a sense of how much it meant to the fans? Because you guys were part of such a big turnaround. There was the Al Golden turnaround, the Matt Rhule piece of it. It's gone through so many iterations, but that game, people were watching it on TV, on the YouTube channel, and then out in the parking lot, people were like, I cried in front of my wife. I broke down. This was like, if I die tomorrow, this is going to be the best moment of my life. For you guys, what are your memories of that? And then what did it mean for you to have fans maybe saying that? Did you get a sense of how much it meant to the fans for what you guys did?
Yeah, so for me, it was more so, I just remember going out there. I remember our defense getting 10 sacks on the field. I just remember our defense going out there getting 10 sacks, and they played so well, and they balled out. And then I just remember Jihad having the game of his life. Mm-hmm. And as Jihad just continued to play, I'm just like, man, this is crazy. We really up right now. We was down early. We was down early throughout the game. We was going to Jihad down. And, we just feel like we just turned the switch, and next thing you know, we just started balling. And we started converting on third down, which we wasn't doing early in the game. All the success that started happening was due to our run game and how hard, you should have seen the holes. When we watched the tape, you should have seen the holes that Jihad and Marquell had running against Penn State. It was pretty good, pretty awesome just to see outline, see all the hard work that they put in throughout the training camp process pay off, man. It was awesome. And then I would say more so after leaving out of the locker room, going into the parking lot, it was like you would have thought we won like the Super Bowl for real, because it was so many people that was just so much joy, so much happiness and everything that I'm like, man, this is really a rivalry that, you know, that Temple has never won. So it really couldn't have been a rivalry if you really don't win the game, you know. So just to have us going there, and we've always competed in the game, we've always played well. To go out there and actually win it, man, it was awesome.
Colin, what about you?
Sorry, I muted myself. I think for me, wow, I mean, a lot of emotions. I'll talk back to just watching the game the other day, because there were a lot of the conversation from the people texting me saying, you know, Pat Kraft, who was on my podcast the other day, he's texting me, this is unbelievable to watch. I mean, when we scored, I'm like, I'll flip it on, you know, I'm just going to check it out. I've seen it 100 times at this point. I was generally excited, like it was the first time I watched the film again. And I didn't think I was going to have that feeling. I was emotional and fired up, and I got 100 texts back like, you think this is the greatest Temple team ever? Actually, someone close to the program shot me that text, and I was like, you know, this team or that team? I'm like, look at these guys, look at the young players on this team. Sharif Finch was like not a nobody, but at the time, like he wasn't really one of our guys. I mean, yeah. Matt Ioannidis, Jake Martin's out there wearing like some 90, goofy number,
96 or something, 90 something.
Like doesn't even look right.
Whatever you wore, it just didn't look right. 91 or something, not 91, I think.
91. I think it's 91. You're right. And like just these guys are just rushing the passer. Nate Smith, a great underrated player, like just loaded. The people on the bench, you know, that were a part of that team that didn't even play, and you see him 3 years. You see him playing for Jeff Collins. You're like, look at the development. Well, they all played in the Penn State game. You know, whether it was a small part or a large part. So it's good to show you how deep that team was. Wow, I mean, that game, I don't know, it was pretty crazy. I think it was good to get it over with. I was relieved because it was so hyped. It was the first game of the year, and if it was the second game, you look past, and you try not to, and the coaches will talk about looking past all day long, and you'd be like, we're not looking past. Let's just get the season started. So I think that was a monkey off the back. I mean, it just was so emotional for me. I mean, it was just a great win, family. I loved shutting Penn State fans up. That was great. If you watched the game, the fans were leaving like in the fourth quarter, like nothing better. Like Hackenberg's pissed. It was all about that stuff, you know. And I think that season was such a roller coaster. If you go back and look through that schedule, it was such a roller coaster ride. Everyone talked about Notre Dame, but there were a lot of close ones before. UMass game was probably the single greatest comeback.
UMass game was the best game I've ever played.
PJ, wasn't it, you mentioned John Christopher before? Didn't he saved you on that one drive, right?
Yes, like I say, UMass game was the best game I've ever played because it was a mental game for me. It was one of those games where you really had to be locked in the whole game because we knew we had a better team, and we knew we were more physical and everything. But we really just had a bad like mindset at times where we just didn't play up to our potential, and you know, for as a team, we just it hurt us at times, and that was one of the games that possibly could have hurt us, you know. So we, as a team, we played really well. I would say just going through that whole process, and JT making that big catch when that third down was sensational.
It was insane. He had 7 catches for 72 yards that game. I just pulled it up. He threw a ball that game too. PJ Walker, 28 for 48, 391, 1 TD, 2 INTs. Your boys on the stat sheet too, 1 for 9, baby. I'll take it. Robby Anderson, 2 for 69. JC, I said that. So Jihad had a bunch of catches. Jihad had 25 carries for 66 yards and a TD. So we could not. They were bringing a double A gap blitz. We could not run the ball. And that was really shocking. We thought we were going to come up and move these guys around in this conference. No big, not a problem. They had like one guy going to the league probably. We got put, and this was right before ECU on a short week. ECU was a Thursday night game. We had to beat UMass, beat ECU, then we're undefeated for Notre Dame. We're going to get college game day.
We had 2 back-to-back tough games.
Brutal. And so quickly, I think we were down 4. So we couldn't score. We couldn't kick a field goal. Then we block a kick. They score. Then we block a kick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Someone picks it up. Avery Williams. He flips it to Will Hayes.
I believe so. Yeah.
Picked it up. Stephon picked it up. Gave it to Will Hayes. Will Hayes runs down the sideline
With his short legs. I love Will.
Yeah, it scores.
He scores. Then we get the ball. I mean, it was chaos. That was the craziest game I've ever been in. No one was in the stands. We were in Gillette Stadium. Horrible field, horrible turf. It was brutal. I'll never forget it. And, yeah, that was tough. I mean, that was crazy. I was going through games, man. I'm like, this is crazy. That's crazy. ECU, you let us down the field with not a lot of time left, and we snuck that game out, too.
ECU was a bad game for me. So I missed Robby on like 3 touchdowns. I was just missing guys that game as well. But then we just, fourth quarter, locked in.
If you guys have time for it, I wanted to ask you about the Notre Dame game, but you guys just kind of illustrated maybe the mental aspect of football players, because I'm sure, like, you know, when reporters like us come to you and we ask you some of the same questions that you get sick of answering, it's like, you know, you guys truly say we can only take one game at a time, but that Notre Dame game was looming on the schedule, and you had to get past UMass. If you don't beat UMass, there's probably no college game day in Philly. If you don't beat ECU, there's probably no college game day in Philly. It gets to Notre Dame week. It was like the perfect storm of stuff. The Eagles were on a bye week, and everybody in Philadelphia cared about that game. It was sold out. Yes, Notre Dame has like a New York Yankees type fan base. Oh, I didn't go there, but I'm a Notre Dame fan. But you guys, there were a lot of Temple fans there. You guys played that game. You should have won that game. There were so many future pros on the field. For both of you, PJ, I'll start with you. Like, what floods back in your mind when you think of that game? Because there were so many gutsy moments, like Jihad getting in on that touchdown, conversions, all sorts of tough plays, and it was right there at the end. Is that for you guys? Is that maybe the one game between that and Houston, the game that you'd want to have back? And what goes through your mind when you think of just the whole scene that came with it? Because it was something the Temple fans never thought they'd experience.
Yeah, that environment was crazy. I couldn't believe it. You know, I've thought I've never would have, you know, thought throughout my 4 years at Temple, you know, that we would have college game day in the first place. I've seen it across over the years. It's everywhere, Florida, Miami. It's at all the big schools, you know. And for them to come to Temple, it was fun. You know, the atmosphere was amazing. Packed out the link. Well, one thing that stood out to me during that game was that big fourth down. I think it was like 4th and 4, 4th and 6. The pass out through the Robby that converted, that got Jihad the opportunity, you know, to run it in for the touchdown late in the fourth quarter. That was one of the big plays, you know, that, you know, we felt like we was like the team that should be winning this game, you know, and we've been fighting the whole game, you know, but, you know, it was tough. It was definitely tough to bear the loss. It was crazy. It was a crazy night.
Mm-hmm.
Our whole thing was fourth quarter. We still outscored them in the fourth 10-7. Just that 7 just broke the back, and we lost 24-20. I think the biggest play I remember from that game, I remember a couple things, but the one thing that sticks out to me was actually Brandon Shippen's catch for a touchdown.
Yep.
I mean, Ship didn't have a ton of catches that year. And Ship,
big time catch.
That was a big time catch, bullet play. The play was like, hey, just get 2 yards in the end zone, and PJ's going to throw it. You got to come back to the ball, or they're going to pick it off. He comes back to the ball, catches it, gets hit, boom, falls in the end zone. I remember going nuts. I mean, Ship played in the league for a little bit too. He's a very good player, and we had a ton of Temple. But I never forget that. I never forget pregame. It was the weirdest pregame I've ever been a part of. There were so many people, and it was dead silent.
Yeah, really.
Weird. It was so weird because going out, because everyone, there was a lot of older folks that would come into the game, like they just want to hang out and like just see it. It was way different than like Penn State. There was like nobody in there, and then you come out of the tunnel and it was like
freaking loud, rowdy. Loud. Oh my goodness,
loud, man. I'll never forget it. I was like, oh boy. Hopefully we practice the silence cadence because we weren't the home team for Penn State. So yeah, Notre Dame was like a coffee house before, and then all of a sudden, like Temple, I think there was a ton of Temple fans at that Notre Dame game. A lot of believers, a lot of Yankee-type Temple fans came out of the woodwork, John.
Yeah.
And it happens to the best of us. It's all good.
Hey, PJ, one last one for you if you have time. As you kind of think, and hopefully if we get back to football sooner rather than later, I mean, you've had a taste of it. You've been with the Colts. When you were growing up in Elizabeth, you and Jihad won a state championship there. You weren't an unknown guy, but we can look back and say that you were definitely under-recruited. When you were growing up in North Jersey, I mean, everybody wants to play pro football, but now that you're back and you've got a serious chance to compete and really stay in the league, did you ever think this was possible for you? And I know it's a strange time now because everybody's separated and we got to wait until things get back to normal, but is there a time where you kind of pinch yourself and say, wow, Andrew Luck just endorsed me. I'm back in the league. I'm playing for my former coach. I've kind of made it again. Do you kind of just sit back and kind of take this all in and say, wow?
No, I can't. I mean, I've looked back and I thank the man upstairs for it. But the minute I sit back and take a breath and start to realize that I'm here, is the minute I will start to get complacent. So I never really want to get settled down and really feel comfortable either, because in this business you cannot be comfortable. This is one of those businesses that if you're comfortable, that's when your game starts to lag, and that's when you start to not be performing at the ability that you can. So now for me, it's just more I need to continue to grow. I need to continue to get better, because I know somebody out there that's trying to outwork me. So I need to go out there and continue to outwork them.
Awesome. PJ, thanks so much, man. I know you got to head out. You said you had time for about 20 minutes. We took up close to 40 minutes of your time, so I really, really appreciate it. Colin, PJ, you guys have anything you need to say to each other before we sign off here? Any jokes?
I'll take you back, Colin.
Yeah, I mean, we're just all thankful that PJ's not here visually. We don't want to see him in that hairline sitting. So.
I ain't got no cut, bro. It's just the coronavirus going on. So
yeah, everyone's got this long hair now. So
I'm not even answering the FaceTime calls.
And my wife's gonna have to cut my hair at some point, so I don't know how that's gonna go. So we'll see.
Thanks for coming on, brother. It was great. Great stories, man. Always we could do 3 hours, but we will someday.
Thanks, PJ. Hey, best of luck to you. We're going to look forward to watching you on TV, catch up with you soon. Thanks so much for doing this today. We really appreciate it. All right, so big thank you to Colin Thompson and PJ Walker for joining us there. A lot of fun stories. Like Colin said, we probably could have gone on for a couple hours with PJ, just getting into all sorts of Temple stuff, all sorts of NFL stuff. And, again, whenever the NFL resumes operations, and hopefully things will get back to normal sooner rather than later, PJ will be in training camp with the Panthers, competing for at least the backup job there. I mean, I would think that Teddy Bridgewater is going to be pretty firmly entrenched, but, stranger things have happened. So a lot of fun there. What's that?
Hopefully he'll be there with Colin.
Yeah, hopefully we'll be there with Colin Thompson and some other former Temple players. So we do have some basketball to get into as well. So, again, we're recording this on it's Thursday, guys, right? I've completely lost track of days during this quarantining period. So it is Thursday, so we'll probably get this out to you on Friday morning for your weekend consumption. But there's some basketball news to pass along as well. If you're a Temple basketball fan, you know by now that Josh Pierre-Louis yesterday put his name into the transfer portal. Nate Pierre-Louis earlier in the week declared for the draft. Are we surprised, maybe Nate declaring for the draft? We'd kind of, when we handle message board questions on the website with our subscribers, people will naturally speculate about roster movement and stuff like that, and we try to be as responsible as we can. We had been hearing for a while that Josh could be on his way out, that things kind of just weren't working out, that Nate could look to explore his options. But you guys surprised by either one of these developments as we talk some hoops here?
Sam, all you.
Yeah, I was surprised that Nate declared for the draft. Just thinking in my head, I was like, okay, this is not a lose situation for him. He can enter his name in the draft, see what he needs to improve on, get feedback from NBA teams. But then when you look at it, the grand scheme of things, it's not a typical year where he's not going to probably be able to work out with these NBA teams. So, in all honesty, kind of shocked me a little bit. I thought, maybe you'd rather see him enter his name in the transfer portal like his brother, but kind of interesting. We'll see where it progresses from here. But I don't feel too confident about him getting drafted come June.
Yeah, just Sam kind of covered it, but surprised me just to the point where I think it would have been a great decision for him. Quinn Rose is the same thing. Entered name in the draft, kept his NCAA eligibility, had a chance to get NBA caliber workouts, work with NBA caliber scouts. So
and get that feedback.
Exactly. Getting that feedback is huge. So if Nate was able to do the same thing, I fully support that move. I think it's an awesome move for him to do. But, I mean, it's not a typical year, as Sam said. He's not going to be able to get that. It's all going to be over the phone stuff. So I don't see a scenario where Nate gets drafted. So I was surprised by the decision just because, I mean, we'll see. Maybe he thinks he's getting drafted. But just to the point of he's not really getting what I would thought he would get out of it.
Yeah. So at this point, if we're looking at the Temple basketball roster, I think you have 9 guys here that are absolutely solid for next year, and we'll explain the reasoning for 9. You have Ty Strickland at point guard, Damian Dunn. So Ty Strickland will be a redshirt sophomore. Damian Dunn will be a redshirt freshman unless something crazy happens. He's probably going to get the medical redshirt with the foot injury. Quincy Adamakoya coming in from Norcross High School in Georgia will be a true freshman. Jaleel White will be a true freshman coming in from Wildwood Catholic. That's 4. Dre Perry will be a senior. J.P. Mormon will be a senior. That's 6. Jake Forrester coming back will be a junior. There'll be 7. Nick Jourdain, who committed a couple weeks ago. Again, if you haven't read Sam Cohn's story on Nick, you definitely should. Some good stuff there. He's 8th. Arashma Parks should be back, recovering from his shoulder injury. He'll be the 9th guy. Monty Scott, hearing a little bit here and there that he could return, maybe could be considering his options. Obviously, if he comes back and he can get another year of strength and training under his belt, could be a really good player. I'm going to keep a close eye on that, just based on what I've been told from a couple of sources. So, if that puts it at 10, and I say that Nate Pierre-Louis isn't solid because he's putting his name in, as you guys said. The chances of him getting drafted are, let's face it, unlikely. He could return to Temple. Is he going to? I don't know. But if you have 9 guys that are completely solid, maybe 10, adding in Monty Scott, there are 3 extra spots there. We've talked about the fact that they're recruiting a couple of junior college players, and Russ Harrison from Clarendon College down in Texas, Tariq Silver down at Tallahassee College, right? Tallahassee Community College in Florida. Sounds like it's between Temple and Oregon State. Russ Harrison released a top 4. Was it a top 4 or top 5, guys?
Top 4.
Yeah, top 4. I would have every reason to believe that Temple's in pretty good shape there. I think Harrison, from what we've been told, they just have to see how, things finish out for him academically with his sophomore junior college grades and getting cleared by the NCAA. And then
Georgia also involved with it.
Sure. And then a couple other names to throw at you. And again, if you are a subscriber to owlscoop.com and you follow along on our message boards, you would know about these guys that we've been talking about lately. Caleb Battle, Temple's very much in the mix for him. He's a Butler transfer, a 6'5" guard. When he committed and signed to Butler, he was the highest rated player ever to sign with Butler out of state. ESPN had him rated as the 82nd player in the 2019 class. Rivals had him rated 122nd in the 2019 class. Was a star guard at Trenton Catholic High School. Was younger brother of former Syracuse star Tyus Battle. At Butler, he averaged 3 points a game, around 11 minutes a game. Didn't play much, but could be a guy that a 6'5" guy who can 6'5" guard who can score. Needs to improve his handle a little bit, but would be a jolt of energy to the program if Temple can get him. It sounds like they are in pretty good shape there. Hopefully between this week and next week, if he does commit, we'll have a story for you. We'll have some development on his recruitment. And then Sam Cohn had talked to a player who also just recently picked up a Temple offer. And I believe, haven't we talked about Jeremiah Williams on this podcast before, guys? Did I mention him a few weeks ago, or am I making that up?
You have, but just not by name. His name was just not coming to mind. But you said they were going to offer somebody in the 2020 class.
Yeah. So some message, again, if our subscribers know about this by now. So Temple has officially offered a player named Jeremiah Williams. He's a guard at Chicago Simeon High School. If you're a basketball fan, if you follow high school basketball across the country, you know that Simeon's produced a lot of great players over the years. Derrick Rose, Jabari Parker. One of the top programs in the Midwest, one of the top programs in Chicago, on the south side of Chicago. He's really one of the better uncommitted guys in the Midwest right now. He was a Chicago Sun-Times second-team All-City player, averaged 16.8 points a game, almost 9 rebounds, 3.7 assists, 1.4 blocks. I've been told that he can play the point. or off the ball. He's 6'5" guard. We'll have a story by the time that you guys are listening to this podcast. Again, if you're an owlscoop.com subscriber, you will have had the chance to read Sam Cohn's story on Jeremiah. Sam, just give us a glimpse of that conversation, what you gleaned from him, and what the connection is there so far with Temple in the recruiting process.
Yeah, so I could definitely talk about this because by the time this drops, you mentioned the story will be out. So, definitely an interesting story here. He told me that the way I understood it is no Temple coach had really seen much of him, gone out to see him play at all until about a month ago, beginning of March. March 6th, I think was the date. Chris Clark went out to Chicago to go see him play because other Temple class of 2020 recruit or commit Quincy Adamakoya and Jeremiah Williams go way back. They met in 8th grade. They've been friends for a while. They tried to play together. Circumstances, whatever, didn't happen. But they've kept in touch. They're good friends. They try to play a lot. They support each other a lot off the floor. So Quincy Adamakoya basically told Chris Clark, like, you should go see this kid play. Put in a good word for him. Chris went to go watch him, and then ever since then they've been really high on him. Temple's been really high on Jeremiah. So what I got from him, he played 3 years at St. Lawrence, which is outside of Chicago, moved into the city to live with his dad, and transferred to Simeon. He was really excited. There were a couple other schools he was looking at, but he said Simeon really always just felt like the right place, always felt like the right fit for him. They had a lot of really good pieces, but he said it himself. It felt like they were just one piece away, and Jeremiah thought he could really be that piece, and he's definitely panned out. Beginning of the season, they had a really tough start. They had a couple new pieces. They had a really weird team. Coach Rob Smith, their head coach, is an incredible coach. He coached Jabari Parker and Kendrick Nunn. I don't think he was there when Derrick Rose was there, but he's coached some really high-level talent, and he's brought that team together. He said it was around Christmas. They really felt like they made the turn. They won like 10 straight and then 11 straight to finish the season. They won the program's 10th city title. They got a all-city first-team kid in Ahmad Bynum. Jeremiah Williams second, all-city second team. They had a couple other really good backcourt pieces. So he's a real versatile guard from what I can tell. He can score the ball. He can create off the dribble, but he's really scrappy. He rebounds the ball really well. He can block shots, and he can bang bodies down low. He can hang his own in the post. So I think he's a kid Temple should be pretty excited about. Temple fans should be excited about. He got an official offer Wednesday afternoon. That offer becomes technically official after a conference call with the Temple coaching staff this coming weekend. So, he said in his recruiting process, he's in the process of narrowing down some schools. But I think that having that connection with Quincy Adamakoya helps. But who knows?
How did they meet in 8th grade? How do they know each other?
So they met at the Junior Hoops Elite Camp in 8th grade. They were on different teams. He said Quincy played for the Mean Streets, and Jeremiah played for a different team. They had a chance to play against each other, and they've just been good friends ever since.
Cool.
My understanding is the camp is a circuit of teams around the area, and they're just teams playing each other, and they met through that. Mm-hmm. He didn't give an exact pinpoint of how they met, but just said it was through the camp.
Yeah, so another name to keep an eye on there. Another name that, again, if you just... again, if you're on our message boards, if you're on Twitter, you'll see some other players that Temple's associated with in the transfer portal. Have been told that Temple is also looking into Brandon Johnson from Western Michigan. He's a 6'8", 220-pound forward, led Western Michigan in rebounding with 8.1 rebounds per game. Second, was averaging 15.4 points per game this past season. So there's a big that Temple's interested in there. I know fans ask us sometimes, they're associated with a lot of guards. What about bigs? So they are looking at some size there. So during this time where they can't really recruit in person, they can't even welcome their own players back to campus due to the I can't talk today, guys. Due to the coronavirus outbreak and the complications and everything that's come with it, they're doing all this remotely. But it looks like, again, that they could be in decent shape with Caleb Battle. Again, we'll keep an eye on what happens with Tariq Silver, with Russ Harrison, certainly with Jeremiah Williams. Again, if you haven't had the chance to check out Sam's story, please do. A lot of good stuff there. And we'll have more basketball for you next week. Any football recruiting updates. Sam has a couple stories. Sam Neumann has a couple stories up on the site right now. So it's going to be a lot of recruiting coverage, a lot of, roster movement coverage when it comes to basketball. Guys, your living situations are good. Academics are good. You're handling the quarantine about as well as you can.
Classes are weird. Classes are so weird.
Just not to sound have like a cliche prep conference answer, but just taking it one day at a time.
Taking it one day at a time, yeah.
One game at a time.
One game, one day at a time.
If things get frustrating in quarantine, we have a 24-hour rule. After that, you're
on to the next day, on to the next challenge. So, well, thank you all for last week's episode was longer. This one shorter, but packed with a lot of good stories from PJ Walker. Huge thank you to PJ Walker, the Carolina Panthers, for joining us this week. Big thank you to Colin Thompson for joining us this week, as he has for the past few weeks. He's been really generous with his time. Thank you to Sam Cohn and Sam Neumann for just being indispensable members of the staff here. Hope you guys are staying safe, happy, and healthy. And
we didn't have a department meeting like one of the other indispensable members.
Kyle?
Graham.
Oh no, Graham. Yeah, Graham couldn't be on the podcast this week.
Not
so,
to brag, but I have a department meeting with the Phillies.
Yes, for this social media internship with the Phillies. So, but we'll have we'll have more stuff for you on next week's episode. Again, who knows what's ahead with basketball recruiting, football recruiting, any roster movement on Aaron McKie's squad here. So we'll keep you posted. Hope you guys are safe, happy, and healthy wherever you are, and we will talk to you next week.